Welcome to Dark Character Profiler. Take a deep dive into the background and personalities of villains from books, video games, manga, and comics. Psychological analysis of some of the most deviant and heinous characters of all time. Now, here's Fulcrum.
Welcome to Dark Character Profiler, where we step into the minds of fiction's most infamous figures. I'm Fulcrum, your host and guide into the shadows. Each episode, I take you beyond the story and into the psychology, exploring motives, diagnoses, and the darker truths that drive these characters. Together, we'll uncover what makes them tick, what breaks them, and why their darkness continues to fascinate us. Let's begin.
Dark Character Profile.
Case log 0712, Mithron Eurodo, known to most as Grand Admiral Thrawn. When I first opened his file, it didn't feel like the others. No frantic warnings, no red flags, no instability indicators ready to snap like brittle bones. Instead, there was a single note clipped to the front. Approach with precision. He will analyze the way you analyze him. Thrawn's presence is quiet but heavy, the kind of weight you feel before you ever see him. People describe him as calculating, unshakable, and eerily calm, but those words don't quite capture it. Thrawn doesn't walk into a room. He studies it. He reads people the way other men read maps, tracing their patterns, their mistakes, their histories, and their secrets. He observes art, culture, identity, and pulls meaning from every brushstroke and symbol. And tonight, I'm blending both sides of him, the canon strategist and the legendary visionary, to build a complete psychological portrait. Two interpretations, one core personality. This is not the story of a man driven by rage or trauma. This is the story of a man shaped by discipline, expectation, and a level of clarity that borders on unsettling. Tonight, I'm opening his file to learn what happens when pure logic becomes a worldview, and whether a mind this precise is capable of anything resembling humanity.
To defeat an enemy, you must know them. Not simply their battle tactics, but their history, philosophy, art.
Background. Reading Thrawn's history feels like examining the blueprints of a cathedral. Every arch intentional, every line purposeful, every detail measured. Nothing about him is random, nothing grows wild. Born into the Chiss ascendancy, Thrawn was raised within a system defined by rigid hierarchy, emotional restraint, and absolute loyalty. In that world, intelligence was not admired. It was expected. Mistakes were not corrected, they were eliminated. Emotion was not explored, it was controlled. Where others develop personality through experience, Thrawn seems sculpted by culture. When he enters the Empire, he rises not through charm or fear, but through something far more dangerous: brilliance. He studies entire civilizations through their art, architecture, and cultural artifacts. He predicts behavior by understanding identity. He fights wars by reading patterns most people never notice. In canon, he becomes the Empire's most precise instrument, the man they call when brute force fails. In Legends, he becomes the architect of the Empire's future, rebuilding its broken remains with order and discipline. Two timelines, one mind. A mind that plans battles like symphonies, each movement deliberate, each note foreseen. Trauma. Thrawn's trauma doesn't shout, it whispers. He wasn't shaped by tragedy or abandoned as a child. He wasn't broken by violence or tormented by loss. His wounds come from something quieter, the pressure of perfection. The Chiss raise their children in a world where 1. Emotion is weakness. 2. Logic is identity. 3. Control is safety. And 4. Duty is everything. This kind of environment doesn't create dramatic trauma responses. No panic attacks, no emotional volatility. Instead, it creates absence. It creates stillness so complete that emotions become a foreign language. Thrawn carries another burden. He believes he alone understands the threat lurking in the unknown regions. This belief isolates him, not because he is isolated physically, but because his mind stands apart from others. It is the trauma of responsibility, not pain. Mental state. Imagine Thrawn in an interrogation room. Dim lighting, a metal table, silence thick enough to touch. Most people shift under the weight of that environment, tapping their fingers, searching for words, giving away fear they can't hide. Thrawn simply sits. Perfect posture, hands folded, eyes steady and unblinking. He doesn't stare to intimidate. He watches because every movement, every breath, every flicker of emotion is information. To him, observation isn't a tactic, it's a language. When he speaks, the words fall in soft, controlled tones. No tension, no hesitation. He answers as if he has already run through every possible version of the conversation and chosen the most efficient one. His thoughts are clean and linear. His emotional presence is barely detectable. There is no impulsivity, no panic, no volatility. If anything, the room feels like he is the one evaluating you. Fulcrum's personality breakdown. Before I continue with Thrawn's personality breakdown, here's the scale. Hurricane scale, Category 1 equals calm breeze, and Category 5 equals total storm. Imagination and insight, Category 4. Thrawn sees patterns inside patterns, in art, behavior, tactics, even silence. His interpretation of culture becomes a tactical advantage, and his imagination works like an architect sketching futures no one else can see. Control and order, Category 5. Structure is not just preference for Thrawn, it is oxygen. Every strategy is organized, every movement intentional. Order is the lens through which he understands the galaxy. Social energy, Category 1. Thrawn doesn't need the noise of conversation. He moves through social spaces with quiet purpose, speaking only when there is value in doing so. Compassion and cooperation, Category 2. He understands people through an analytical lens. For him, empathy isn't a feeling, it's an equation. His cooperation is dependent on logic, not emotion. And finally, unpredictability, Category 1. There are no emotional storms in Thrawn, no sudden urges, no impulsive reactions. He is steady to the point of eeriness, predictable not because he is simple, but because he is consistent. Some people carry thunder with them. Thrawn carries silence, a silence so precise it becomes its own kind of storm. Moral beliefs. Thrawn's morality isn't anchored in good or evil. It's anchored in outcomes. If a choice preserves order, he makes it. If it prevents greater harm, he accepts it. If stability demands sacrifice, he does not hesitate. He is not cruel, he is not kind. He is something different, a man who believes morality is an equation, not a feeling. His loyalty lies with structure, the Chiss, and the long-term survival of civilizations. Relationships. Thrawn forms connections the way he forms strategies, deliberately and with purpose. He does not seek closeness for comfort. He seeks alignment, intellectual, strategic, and principled. Eli Vanto from canon earns his respect through cultural insight. Gilad Pellaeon is also from canon, but was introduced to us in Legends, and he is most known for being Thrawn's right-hand man during his campaign against the New Republic. Pellaeon earns Thrawn's respect through discipline and unwavering reliability. Thrawn does not forge friendships. He forges alliances built on shared clarity. Historical parallels. First, we have Erwin Rommel, a tactical commander whose precision and discipline earned both fear and respect. His battlefield clarity mirrors Thrawn's approach to strategy. Second, we have Sun Tzu, the general turned philosopher who believed wars are won by understanding the enemy's identity. Thrawn embodies this principle in every campaign. And third, we have Thomas Cromwell, a political strategist who reshaped power structures through deliberate, calculated action. Like Thrawn, he worked quietly and relentlessly. Before we continue with the episode, I want to take a moment to thank all of you who've been listening and supporting Dark Character Profiler. Every play, every follow, every vote on the polls really helps shape the direction of this show. I started this project because I wanted to dig deeper into the psychology of dark and complex characters. But it's the conversations with you, the listeners, that keep it alive. Your support means more than I can say, and I'm grateful to have you here with me each week as we explore the darker corners of fiction together.
Dark character profile.
Criminal behavior. Thrawn's actions may look harsh, but they're never emotional. He does not kill for pleasure. He does not dominate for ego. He does not manipulate out of insecurity. His decisions are strategic, measured, unemotional, and efficient. He commits acts that cross moral boundaries, but always for reasons he can articulate clearly. From a forensic standpoint, he is dangerous not because he is unstable, but because he never loses control.
And now, the final analysis. But first, just a little house cleaning.
This podcast is for entertainment and educational purposes only. While we use the DSM-5 as a framework to provide psychological analyses of fictional characters, the discussions are not intended to diagnose, treat, or provide professional mental health advice. The interpretations shared are based on hypothetical scenarios and creative exploration and should not be applied to actual individuals or situations. For mental health concerns or diagnoses, please consult a licensed professional. Listener discretion is advised.
Dark character profile.
Psychological testing. If I put Thrawn through modern psychological testing, here's what we would see. Extremely high analytical reasoning, exceptional pattern recognition, almost no impulsivity, very low emotional expression, high intellectual empathy, minimal trauma impact, no psychopathy, and very strong internal stability. He performs like a mind engineered for strategy. Diagnostic summary. Thrawn is a high-functioning, low-emotion, highly strategic individual whose traits align with 1. Obsessive-compulsive personality traits. Thrawn prefers structure, pattern, and control in almost every part of his life. He thinks best in organized environments and relies on routines that support efficient decision-making. However, his need for order is not distressing or rigid. It enhances his functioning rather than impairing it. For that reason, these are traits, not a full OCPD diagnosis. 2. Schizoid personality traits. Thrawn tends to be reserved, emotionally restrained, and internally focused. He prefers solitary work, intellectual analysis, and relationships based on respect rather than emotional closeness. But he does not withdraw completely, nor does he struggle to function socially or professionally. Because of this, these remain traits, and again, not a diagnosable personality disorder. 3. Possible autism spectrum traits. His intense interests, formal communication style, and pattern-oriented thinking resemble features seen in autism spectrum presentations. However, he shows no impairment in communication, daily functioning, adaptability, or social intelligence. He reads people exceptionally well, just in a different way than most. This makes these non-clinical characteristics, not a diagnosis. And 4, no major mental illness. Thrawn shows no indicators of hallucinations, delusions, psychosis, mood instability, or trauma-based dysfunction. He is psychologically stable, consistent, and internally organized at every observable level. An important clarification for listeners. Note: Thrawn exhibits identifiable personality traits that overlap with several diagnostic categories, but none of these traits rise to the level of clinical impairment. Under the DSM-5-TR standards, he does not qualify for any formal mental disorder. The traits described above represent his cognitive style and emotional tendencies, not clinical diagnoses. Final thoughts. When I look at Thrawn, I don't see a villain or a tyrant. I see a man governed by logic, someone who filtered every ounce of emotion out of his operating system until all that remained was structure, analysis, and inevitability. He isn't unstable. He isn't fractured. He isn't impulsive. He is clarity, cold, refined, absolute clarity. Forensically, he isn't dangerous in the ways most characters are. Emotion doesn't drive him. Chaos doesn't sway him. Anger doesn't cloud him. He is dangerous because his stability is unbreakable, because he will always think 10 moves ahead, and because he will never, ever lose control. If Thrawn is a storm, it isn't the kind that crashes suddenly. He is the slow, cold front that moves silently across the horizon and changes the entire world before anyone realizes what's happened. Whole segment. Before I close today's episode, I want to hear from you because Walter White's psychological evaluation remains one of the most complex character shifts ever written. This week's poll: which psychological direction best fits Walter White by the end of Breaking Bad? 1. Narcissistic personality disorder, a transformation defined by growing entitlement, hunger for recognition, and the belief that he deserved admiration and control. 2. Antisocial personality disorder, a descent into manipulation, emotional attachment, and a willingness to harm or exploit others to achieve his goals. 3. Delusional disorder, grandiose type, a shift into a worldview where Heisenberg wasn't a mask at all, but a destiny, a larger-than-life identity he believed he was meant to embody. Or 4. Something else. A psychological blend, a moral collapse, or an interpretation beyond diagnosis. Leave your answer in the comments. I always read them, and your perspective shapes where we go next. That concludes this profile on the darker corners of the mind. Whether born from trauma, obsession, or the lust for power, these characters remind us just how thin the line is between order and chaos. If you found this analysis compelling, make sure to follow Dark Character Profiler on your favorite podcast platform. Leave a review and share this episode with others who dare to peek into the shadows. Until next time, stay curious, stay critical, and remember, the darkness is always closer than it seems.
Thank you for listening to Dark Character Profiler with Fulcrum. Listen every other Tuesday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Podcasts. Humanity was not meant to live this way. Society is left to the mercy of murderers and cutthroats. Hear Paige Zaplin Dam's epic tale brought to life in an audiobook. For years, Slade had felt secure in the forest. I am from simple, humble beginnings. I was raised in the Ironwood by an Ogress, an Anaral. He saw immediately that she was beyond a healer's aid. Even a skilled witch could not help her recover from losing so much blood. Mother? Slade thought he wanted revenge. Instead, he got redemption. A kingdom of ash and steam, The Ogress's Son, a dystopian neo-Dark Age fantasy, narrated by Rich Fraser. Now available on iTunes and Audible. I promise you I will find whoever did this and avenge you, Mother.